Hello, this is Malorian, and this is going to be my second game of the Halloween tournament, and this time I'm up against vampire counts. So here we are. It turns out on exactly the same table as last time, and the way that this one worked is that you had table quarters, and the mission was called Trick or Treat. So every time you had a unit that went into a piece of terrain, you could declare Trick or Treat. You roll on this table, and you get a random ability. If you got double sixes, you become ethereal, but if you get double ones, you're completely removed from the game. And then there's a whole bunch of other things you can get. So it's overall, it's 50-50. It's kind of a thing that's just there for fun. So anyway, this guy I'm playing against is actually the bunker owner. He's been playing for a long time, but he hasn't played very many games in 8th. But I actually thought his list was very interesting, because if you're looking at what he has there, he has some wraiths and a Vargolf on the left. He has a big horde of ghouls, zombies on either side. I think that was skeletons or ghoul bunker in the back. 3 carts, but the big thing was all the characters. He had his vampire lord, and then he had 6 other necromancers. And so really what this is in 7th you could spam raising, and you can't do that on 1 dice in 8th, because if you roll 1 or 2 you can't cast anymore. Well, here you have so many casters that he can, and he also gets so many tries at channeling. So it's going to be very interesting. He's going to have a very powerful magic phase, and it looks like he's bunkering down in the back there. So I'm really going to have to see what he does. And the bad thing for hordes is that this table quarter deployment is horrible. So it's going to take me a while to swing things around to make sure I have a lot of my units to bear. Alright, so my opponent had first turn. He rushed his Vargolf and Wraiths off down to the left side, and actually most of the rest just stayed back there. So I think it's because he knows that I have no shooting magic. I have Lower Life again, and this time I have Flesh to Stone, and I have Throne again. And so really, we know it's going to come down to combat, and if anything, he'd rather be in that defended area where if my chariots rush in, they'll be destroyed. So I think that was the idea while he was trying to switch around and flank me. His magic phase was very powerful. That zombie unit on the right, they're not there yet, but he raised like an extra 30 or something crazy, or maybe even more, 40. So that he's going to be putting them on during my turn. But that's really all that happened here, was a bunch of raising. My turn 1, I trick or treat with that bottom block of orcs, get stupidity, so that's no good. My left block there, Night Goblins, actually got the 6 roll and animosity, so they're running towards them. And really my idea here is just going to be to break that small unit of wraiths just through combat res. Through netting and giving them better toughness, I should be able to break them. And actually an interesting thing here is that if I just go and beat these 2 support units, I don't have to care about the rest of his army, because I'll be ahead of points. I won't want to be a jerk like that, but that's something if I was in a serious tournament that I could do. So otherwise, I'm just trying to deal with that threat first while I try and swing everything else around. Okay, so on his turn 2, he charges into that unit. He actually did very little damage except for his Thunder Stomp, and of course I held because I was steadfast. But one of the things that was really scary is that his Vampire Lord has the Forbidden Lore and has Lore of Death, and so it used Spirit Leech on my War Boss and did 2 wounds to me. So that's something I'm really going to have to watch out for, and because if I lose him, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble if I'm going to have to make these fear tests all the time and things. So another thing I should mention too is that these 3 carts are making it really hard for me to get any spells off, because I'm -3 to cast every single time. So being on a level 2, it's tough. So on my turn, I try and charge in with the chariot at the bottom, but I fail. The unit at the top has gone into that building because that's the fastest way through, and otherwise I'm still just trying to hold the line until I can deal with this. And what happened on the left side here is, again, he rolled very poorly, and from combat res, actually my great weapons did a couple of wounds to the Vargolf, and then through combat res he popped and one of the wraiths popped. So now they're doomed for sure, and that's going to help. So on his turn 3, he moves up some zombies to support in the cart, and then raises a unit of zombies behind them to fill in the gap. He wanted to Van Hales them into that combat to add some ranks, but it didn't happen. That's mainly because he put a lot of dice into trying to Spirit Leech my War Boss again, which I stopped. And so without that support there, they crumbled, and now they're all gone. Orcs turn 3. Now that I'm done with the wraiths, I charge up into those left zombies, and at the top, actually those orcs got a 6 on the animosity to run out of the building, and then they're just moving up to deal with those other zombies. So the idea here is that I'm still just trying to pick out the middle ones. I really don't know if he has that. I know if he has a BSB in that ghoul horde, but if he has the regen banner and a really deadly vampire lord, I don't know if I can even take that on with my black orcs. So I'm being very careful here and don't want to throw things away. Alright, so his turn 4, he decides now he basically has to go for it. He sees that what's happening, and so what he does is he charges out. He actually Van Hales to get into my black orcs, and one of the big huge things that happens here is that I was able to shut down all of his attempts to make them, get the Van Hales or the miasma off, so that they'd be having Oi strike first and then re-roll because their initiative is faster than mine. So stopping that was huge. And of course my guys do so well against him, right? I'm hitting on 3s, killing on 2s. Turned out he didn't have the regen banner, that he had the AP banner. So I won this combat, but again, I know I have to beat him this next turn because his magic phase is so strong that he can raise that back up if he wants to. And then on the left side, as you can see, my Night Goblins beat his zombies and are now facing his flank, so I'm going to have a perfect chance to try and do this. Unfortunately, on my turn 4, the bottom Night Goblins squabble, the big orcs at the top squabble, so instead they're on their own. I charge into the zombies at the top there with the chariot and the other unit, so I'm beating them up. As you can see, I killed so many of them. And the big thing that happened in that middle combat is that I was able to get off the flesh to stone, so they're +2 toughness. And he actually tried to kill my war boss with that with the feedback scroll, but didn't do enough. And from all the damage there, it turned out I did just enough to kill everything except for the characters. So that was huge because now he can't raise him back up. And at this point, he just said, okay, that's it, that's the game. So looking at the game, my opponent, he was saying he's really upset with his performance. It used to be that he was one of the really strong players in the club, but it's, in 8th, he's only had, I think, 6 games so far. So he's still relatively new. He's still trying to figure out the ways that the systems work and what he should be doing with vampire counts, which isn't easy because vampire counts did change so much. In the end, though, I think he did have a fairly solid idea to hold back and just raise because his magic was so tough, especially with that death magic where he could kill my characters while I'm walking in. I think it's just he dedicated those flanking units too soon, and then there just wasn't support for his main thrust. So in the end, I was happy, had a win, and we'll go on to my third game.